Thank you for your time. Thank you so much. And thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, Mr. Johnny Liu, for making women look more beautiful.
They are inside out.
Yes. But he just made them more beautiful by designing those pearl necklaces. Thank you so much. And as you said, beauty is from within and every woman is beautiful. While we go on with the program, now it gives me great pleasure to invite our next speaker, Ms. Taona Nana Kuo. I hope I got the name right. I was trying to practice it. Who is Senior Manager, Every Woman, Every Child Health Team at the Executive Office of the UNSG. And Ms. Kuo is a development economist and public policy specialist by training with 13 years experience in global health and rural development. And prior to joining the SG's office, she was UNAIDS country coordinator in China and spent 5 years working in China. And she also has extensive experience working in Thailand, Asia, with the UNAIDS Regional Support Team for Asia and Pacific. And in her region, she provided significant technical support to the Independent Commission on AIDS in Asia. And she has extensive experience working in China at various levels for the UN. She's a British citizen of Chinese origin. She received her education in the UK in economics and public policy, has a postgraduate degree from the LSE, that's the London School of Economics, in development management. So she will be talking about Beijing Declaration and women's reproductive and sexual health with respect to the work of every woman and child. And we really thank her for her time and sitting patiently. Thank you so much for your passion and continuing this work.
And I would like to first welcome you to New York during the 69th session of the UN General Assembly. The world is gathered here in New York this week to debate some of the most crucial issues of our time. Starting from last night with the General Assembly special session for ICPD +20, today with climate change, and as we start the full General Assembly debate tomorrow. I think at the core of all of these issues is the importance of women's reproductive and sexual health. It's an honor for me to be here today for this important event, and I know the Secretary General himself is with us here in spirit. He and the United Nations as a whole remains committed in keeping the health of women and children at the forefront of the global agenda, in particular through the Every Woman, Every Child movement, which the Secretary General launched in 2010. The Secretary General has taken a very personal commitment and leadership to the issues of women and children's health. He launched Every Woman, Every Child in 2010 because at that point, the MDGs 4 and 5 dealing with maternal mortality, access to reproductive health, and child mortality were the MDGs that were most lagging behind. And we needed to really galvanize action globally from all partners so that we could accelerate progress as we race towards meeting the MDGs. The Secretary General himself is also very committed to this issue because it has touched his life personally. I'm sure you have heard in a number of his speeches before how he has spoken about his own personal experience with when he was born in a village in Korea, when the death of mothers during childbirth was seen as a normal occurrence. And now, after 30, 40 years, it is in Korea, it is not normal to be accepted that women die in childbirth. We want to see that same progress for every country to reach every woman and every child. So the Every Woman, Every Child movement is about accelerating action and galvanizing action from governments to private sector to civil society to the UN itself. And I'm here today to talk about how Every Woman, Every Child can very much support the progress of sexual reproductive health and rights. Ladies and gentlemen, I first would like to applaud the First Lady partners from across the world around this critical challenge. As we approach the 20-year anniversary of the historic Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action, it is imperative that we review the progress made in its implementation. And we will be having a very important review next year in 2015 about how far we have come in those 20 years. Certainly, we have come a long way. The Beijing Plus 20 campaign reminds us, however, that although great progress has been achieved, the journey to health for all women and girls remains unfinished. Millions of women and children around the world are suffering from poverty, discrimination, and threats to their health. We must all come together, First Ladies and their husbands, governments and international organizations, civil society and the private sector, philanthropists and youth activists to spur progress in maternal and newborn health worldwide. Every Woman, Every Child movement has become an exemplary example of partnership in action. Today, we have more than 300 partners and over 400 commitments have been made to advance the global strategy for women and children's health, which was launched by the Secretary. We have managed to mobilize and galvanize over $40 billion to support the acceleration of reducing maternal and child mortality to date. This pioneering multi-stakeholder partnership model has been advancing progress on the slowest moving MDGs with a strong accountability mechanism at its core. As we continue to plan for the post-2015 development agenda, we must also prioritize sexual and reproductive health and rights. They are fundamental to individuals, couples, and families, and to the social and economic development of communities and nations. However, today we still have 289,000 women and girls around the world who continue to die while giving life, and an estimated 18,000 children die every day. Nearly all of these deaths are preventable. Moreover, essential maternal health services, including skilled birth attendants, are largely inaccessible to adolescent girls. They also lack access to the information and means to prevent unwanted pregnancy. Married too young and pregnant too soon, far too many girls drop out of school, undermining their future prospects, and also those of their families and their communities. Studies show that female participation in the labor force decreases with each individual child. Better control of women's fertility allows girls to remain in education longer. This highlights the critical need for comprehensive sexual education for youth. Adolescent girls in the developing world are an enormous untapped resource, but they need special attention in order to live up to their full potential. Universal access to sexual and reproductive health is therefore not only an essential human rights priority to ensure women's empowerment and gender equality, it is also a key economic priority. The Every Woman, Every Child movement has galvanized support and action across a wide range of sectors to address these issues. Family Planning 2020, otherwise known as FP 2020, is one of the many laudable examples of a successful partnership initiative in this global effort. Within just 2 years, family planning has gone from a neglected intervention to receiving the largest number of commitments to Every Woman, Every Child. FP 2020 is bolstering progress towards the global strategy goals of preventing 33 million unintended pregnancies and reaching 43 million users in 49 countries by 2015. Every Woman, Every Child continues to accelerate progress for women and children's health around the globe. Looking forward, our accelerating progress will depend heavily on strong leadership at the highest levels. In this regard, First Ladies have the unique opportunity to play an important role in pushing for sexual and reproductive health rights for women and girls. By improving access to family planning, by giving women and adolescent girls the services they need before, during, and after pregnancy, and by providing quality health care to all women and children, we can achieve our vision of ending all preventable maternal and child deaths within our generation. I think this is now the time where we need to strengthen our partnerships and start working together to achieve our common goals. We can and will make a life-changing difference if we do that for every woman and every child, for the future of our children and for the future of humanity. I would like to also invite everyone to the Secretary General hosted event this Thursday at the UN Trusteeship Council for Every Woman, Every Child. It is his personally hosted event to look at how we can better accelerate progress for women and children's health up to 2015 and beyond for the Sustainable Development Goals. We will have First Lady of Belize and also the First Lady of Kenya speaking, as well as a number of heads of state and luminaries like Mrs. Russia Michelle. So I warmly welcome you to all. Please come and join our event and discussions on Thursday. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's at 3 o'clock, 3 to 5 o'clock in the UN Trusteeship Council.
And do we need a different pass to come in?
Yes.
So do we,
You will need to RSVP, so I will share the invitation.
thank you so much for your time. Thank you, Your Excellency. Thank you for the Thank you.
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it gives me enormous pleasure to be here to address you on this very important subject of Beijing Platform of Action, the Beijing Declaration, and the overall impact of women's health. In 1995, I was posted as a young officer, a counselor in Egypt, in our mission in Saudi Arabia, and I received a telegram to go to Beijing immediately without delay to participate in the Global Women's Conference in Beijing. That was based on a perception somehow that I was an expert on women's affairs, because when I was at headquarters between 1993 and 94, I wrote some papers on women's representation, the role of women in conflict settlement in Africa, in peace building and so forth. 95, somebody just remembered, well, Usman is an expert on women, sent him to Beijing, so they just dispatched a telegram, and I found myself in Beijing participating in the crafting of the Beijing Declaration. So it gives me enormous pleasure to be here. Having said so, the women's overall health issue is a very expansive and yet very focused issue. It has been captured, as you all remember, in the UN Millennium Goals, the MDGs, and also in a number of instruments, international instruments dealing with the health of women. Usually when we discuss women's health, the first things that come to mind are conception in terms of transmitted diseases and so forth, and then maternal mortality, the deaths of mothers while giving birth. These are the immediate, the present problems that come to mind. However, in recent years, especially as from 2012, with the elaboration of the outcome document of the Secretary General's Commission on the life-saving commodities for women and girls, as Dr. Nana mentioned, new elements were added towards the addressing of the comprehensive needs, health needs of women. About 13 commodities were identified by the Commission. The co-chair, one of the co-chairs being the President of Nigeria, His Excellency, Dr. Goodluck Jonathan. Now the report of the Commission is very important because it ventured into unorthodox areas to elaborate partnerships with industry, for instance, with institutions, with research organizations, indeed with private foundations, to address the health needs of women and girls. It is a comprehensive outlook in terms of going beyond merely addressing those problems identified in the MDGs, to go beyond that to include even elements like nutrition, elements like access for specialized needs of women during pregnancy. It also addressed the area of conception in terms of care for the health of the child, the unborn and the newborn. It also actually spoke about certain commodities that are very specialized in nature that could be only obtained through cooperation with industry. Along the line, the issue of mental health of women has come up, which is not an orthodox human rights or medical right of women that has been discussed in the United Nations. Mental health, the preoccupation with the sanity of women is something that is tremendously important in developing countries. It has not received the attention that it should, simply because of the preoccupation that I mentioned earlier about maternal mortality, HIV/AIDS infections, and so forth. The other issue that the heads of state, the two co-chairs, and members of the commission identified as highly critical is the increase in the level of nutrition, the access to useful nutrition for women. Women, particularly in places like Africa, the rural areas, during pregnancy, they simply do not have access to those foods and intakes that gives them the required health to deliver safely and for their children, the babies, to be healthy in the critical months after delivery. I think they say it's between 6 or 10 months or so after delivery. Now, if nutrition could be given to women at a wide variety of levels, the dangers associated with childbirth will be drastically reduced, and the extent, the lifespan of the babies will be increased according to researchers. Other elements that go into addressing the issue of health of women holistically is access to clean drinking water. We have been discussing access to water in a generalized human rights way, particularly with the establishment of the special mandate on access to water in the Human Rights Council. We have detached water from health because it is convenient, and also we looked at it as a general factor in sustainable development. However, if we contextualize access to clean drinking water in relation to health, we are told by experts that the majority of diseases will be eliminated, particularly in Africa. Waterborne diseases or the absence of regular intake of clean drinking water contributes to a large extent in death and illness of women and children. Another important factor that goes into addressing the comprehensive health needs of women is the workload that women endure. Women in Africa, for instance, especially in rural areas, they do a lot of backbreaking work. Backbreaking really, I mean, going to the farm, felling wood, fetching water, tending to animals, and so forth. And at the same time, looking after strenuous domestic chores at home, almost round the clock. That does not give them enough time for them to actually rest. Leisure is not something known to them. Rest is something that comes only during the few hours they snatch sleep in the night. While they are actually also expected to bear children, they are expected to continue working until the very last moment of child delivery. This is very hazardous. It is very taxing on the physiology of the woman and also even on the health of the child. Addressing the workload of women within the context of the ILO Convention conditions on decent work agenda and other provisions, I think overall is very important. We cannot divorce the women's health from the overall environmental conditions in which women work. You can imagine a picture in your mind, a woman in the Sahel area of Africa. Very hot, very dry, very dusty. Even at the best of times, in the rainy season, there is no respite from the environmental pressure upon them. Under these conditions, a woman will pick up an axe or machete, go to the bush looking for trees to fell, going around to the wells, 10, 15, 20 kilometers away from her village, or to the stream to fetch water, driving the donkeys or the oxen back and forth. That is the daily chore of life. What can we propose that will bring the women out of this circle of bondage to circumstances? I believe the first is education. And I believe it is important for us to always pay heed to what the Secretary General of the United Nations is saying regarding the importance of educating the girl, educating the woman. Education gives the rare privilege, first, to be self-aware. It creates awareness about yourself, about your importance, about your worth. After knowing who you are and how valuable you are to yourself, to your family, to your community, you will begin to have the opportunity to make choices. To make choices in terms of opportunities, in terms of what is possible, in terms of what you can do and you cannot do. And to have the knowledge, actually, to decide that yes, a certain number of hours a day should be devoted to study, to contemplation, to leisure, in order for my body, my health to be protected. Education also for a woman involves the mind. An educated woman, even in a rural area, will be able to decide on sort of activity she will spend during her leisure hours, the sort of instruction she will give her children, and the sort of advice she will give her husband, mother, and father-in-law, and relations all around her. I'm saying all these things because I don't want to view health in very narrow, specialized perspectives. Even doctors tell us that health is a communal, comprehensive, physical, temperamental, mental, emotional, and everything. That is why I'm bringing all these things together. Today we had a high-level meeting on the environment, on climate change. Have we pondered on the impact of climate change on women? I don't know if we have. I think we should, in terms of the impact it has on their health, the impact it has on their opportunities. We have been discussing under Sustainable Development Goals the need for women to have access to resources. Now, what type of resources are we talking about? In Africa, the first and foremost resource is access to land. That is the most important resource, at least traditionally. And then the second most important resource is cattle, livestock. Now, if you can just think for a while about the impact of environmental degradation in the Sahel or the whole of Africa, land becomes a problem to maintain and to regenerate. Animals that you have will become actually another problem for you to maintain. Even getting water and pasture for them becomes problematic. And the danger of that is that women who tend the land and tend to the animals get more and more stressed and stretched at the same time in terms of getting to where they can produce crops or food for the household and getting their animals across to grazing areas and back to the village, to watering holes and back to the village. The less fertile the land becomes, the more the grass areas disappear, the longer will be the distances women will cover to fetch water, to graze their animals, and to farm their crops. These are some of the thoughts that I have, which I thought I should share with you, and to at least give you the perspective in a broad area, so that when we discuss women's health, we do not reduce them to the clinical aspects of health, about only the issue of conception, abortion, maternal death, and so forth, but we should broaden it to include a whole range of circumstances that make life wholesome. Thank you for this invitation.
May I request to be on stage, because we would like to request Professor John E. Liu to come up and give you a token of appreciation. Thank you so much. Thank you. It's nice. This is the first time I get to tell a diplomat, no sir, please stay. So please forgive me.
United Nations and the UNESCO Club for Global Education
a moment of your attention. Thank you.
Thank you for being late, but since everyone is here, it's a great pleasure and honor to give to my dear friend, Johnny Lu, the one and only that the White House, at the time of going there to give something to Johnny Lu, immediately to get a special letter, special thank you from the President, and every First Lady wears his magnificent map, only as I said before. This is from my organization, the Euro-American Women's Council, which I'm going to talk a little later. And this is the Globe Johnny, who will have been all over the world. Because guess what? Created in China. Yes, please. This is also organized, you can see these beautiful, beautiful magnets again, that the First Lady said, only this somewhere from Johnny Lu, nobody else. And you can see every single day in the papers. And please, this is Johnny, get down.
As Vice President of the Global Progressive Union America, this is an umbrella organization which helps people of the Niger Delta area of Nigeria in the Delta state. So please, the podium is yours, and thank you for your patience.
So you've heard a lot has been said. I'm not going to bore you, but I'm just going to touch on the Beijing Declaration, Women's Reproductive and Sexual Health, a review on women in diaspora. When we say women in diaspora, I will first start by telling you, I know we all know here, all of us, what diaspora is. It's really a scattered population with a common origin in a smaller geographic area. Now, we're all here in the Americas, and personally, as a professional and a wife and a mother, and who happens to have a set of twins that are teenagers now, I tell you that we meet in the workforce with a lot of challenges. We've heard all that's been said today, but I really have a question. I want to ask if people here are aware of two major amendments and rules. One is the Helms Amendment, and the other is the Global Gag Rule. Now, I don't know if you ever heard of them, but what the Helms Amendment is really is a restricts. What it does, it restricts funds for abortion-related activities. The Global Gag Rule actually places a requirement on clinics in developing countries if the clinic is going to receive any U.S. funds. It must not offer any abortion services. Employees of the clinic must not advocate for the legalization of abortion in the country. And doctors cannot refer patients seeking abortion to another clinic that might offer those services. Now, what they really do is, what we need to know, us here, is how harmful these two are to us, each and every one of us. Because when you're a working class woman in the Americas here, what you do is you turn between your home, you turn between your family, you turn between your workplace, because you're striving to make a living. Now, we all know that the girl child of today becomes the woman of tomorrow. So when we're talking women, we know that it's an across-the-board qualification of people who, at a certain time, become childbearing, become mothers, faced with challenges. Women are at a disadvantage point. And for myself, who is a Nigerian born, that migrated here, back home it's more you're seen, not heard. But you come here and you cannot find meaningful work and so cannot enjoy basic rights. Now when you do find the meaningful work, you find out how you're torn between depriving your child the necessity that the child needs to function properly. For example, you have a child and there's a need to breastfeed the child, but you see you have to be at work. You're doing a 9 to 5 if you're lucky, and endlessly till whenever you're let go by your employer if you're not fortunate. So what I really want to stress on is that we cannot talk about sustainable development without really addressing empowering women, the empowerment, and the gender equality. Because bear in mind that when you do go to the work and do all that you have to do, you get back home because of your cultural heritage, your cultural belief, you're first to now come and try to fend for the family. So you're the boss, supposedly at home, you're at work, you're trying to make a life, you're trying to keep your job. And it really is mind-boggling to know that the journey to health for all women and girls remain uncompleted 20 years after the Beijing Women Conference, and barely a year to 2015 for the supposed MDG deadline. Healthcare affordability and accessibility and availability, the 3 A's that we talked about earlier, really remains a mirage. It's still yet to be, accomplished. Now, so what I really would implore all of you here is that I can email, I'm going to collect the email that will send this out to each and every one of you. Why you need to know this amendment and these rules that are affecting us, especially us women in the diaspora. We need to know all of this and implore all of you to go to the, be advocate. I know you don't do it a lot already, because by being here in this forum, you are a step further. We are a step further, and we are actually on our way to victory. Because this is not just going to be, it's not a dream, it's an actuality. We're actually going, the different speakers have come up with their points, and with, like was said earlier, one flake, it melts, but collectively, we can pull it off. Now, we need to make family, understand that comprehensive and mandatory sex education in school system that is going on in countries that are being promoted in countries like Sweden and like the First Lady of Belize talked about. I was impressed at the numbers. That we need to know that the numbers are, becoming very, more bearable now. We can kind of relate to it, and it's also good to know that all of this is not going unnoticed. We're being, and we need to just also educate each and every one of us that when we talk sex education, it's really different from encouraging sex. Because some people misconstrue it. They say, oh, why is all this sex education? It's like you're encouraging. No, it's not. You are increasing your level of awareness. And so, all of the things to do with sexually transmitted diseases, early birth, the mortality, the deprived health care, the problems we have when people have children and they're not properly cared for, all of those will be minimized to the barest minimum. And that will help in, maternal mortality reduction. And it's also important to note here that the majority of us here are blacks, and that it's important to know that maternal mortality of educated black women is higher than that of uneducated white women. And why is that so? you're faced with a lot of stress. The workforce is not as friendly, and you, and the, cap it all, you the breadwinner in your home. So, you're caught between a rock and a hard place. Which is why I really think that, I'm not gonna take more time, but I think that, if all of us would go sign petitions to stop legislators from restating the global gag rule and learn more about how, you can pressure President Obama and other leaders to fix the Helms Amendment, it will go a long way. So like I said, I'm gonna email things, give an email to Dr. Meany and Dr. Ada Kika, who gratefully, and have me here, and I'm entirely, honored. And I thank you both for, the great job. And I thank every one of you for listening and patiently being here, because really, this is a step in the right direction, and victory is surely ours. Thank you very much.
That Dr. Nima has spoken at the White House. She's an eloquent advocate for women. And last but not least, what you talked about the global gag rule. Let us gag the global gag rule.
Yes.
And also, it gives me great pleasure to acknowledge State Senator Mr. Antonio N. Savas from New Jersey. Thank you, sir, for coming across the pond and coming here on behalf of your wife. Thank you for your support, and could you please, thank you so much. And now, I know Jay is waiting patiently, and it gives me great pleasure to invite Jay Blackwell to the podium. And Jay is a native of North Carolina. He's here today from Washington, D.C. And Mr. Blackwell has been a champion and worked at grassroots for the improvement of at-risk and underserved communities for the past quarter century. Let's give him a hand. And he is a contractor in the Office of Minority Health Resource Center since 2001. Thank you so much for coming from DC, and welcome to the crazy, chaotic New York. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for sticking around. As I've been hearing about the changes and really what has to happen with empowering women and empowering our humanity, I go back to this discussion, which is really around NGOs. Because most of us look towards NGOs, non-governmental organizations, to carry out the work that must be done. And I just want to address the importance of organizational infrastructure and provide a few tips today on how to build healthy organizations that can sustain increasing outcomes over the years, if not decades. And I just have one page, so it's going to be very quick. The approach I really want to share supports the focus of the outcomes of the First Lady's High-Level Forum to improve the capacities of NGOs to promote education, empowerment, and development strategies wherever their affiliate agencies will operate. The strategy has been developed over the last 25 plus years of my working with diverse communities and populations across the United States and the territories, all of the territories. This approach is strength-based and brings concrete outcomes to nonprofit organizations, governmental institutions, health clinics, hospitals, and community groups alike. For organizations to succeed, it takes more than money, it takes more than passion, it takes more than good ideas. While all of these qualities are critical to elements of good business, NGOs need to operate and balance how they develop first their people, which includes their volunteers, it includes their staff, it includes their directors, so that their people understand the importance of agency policies. And these policies need to guide the programs to bring the mission statements alive. In my work over the last quarter century, I have found that there are way too many NGO leadership you cannot even recite their mission statement. This fact alone is indicative of how or if an NGO will ever be deemed successful in making this world or their communities a better place to live. I'm really advocating that for healthy organizations, first, build the business acumen of your staff. The more efficient and knowledgeable your staff are of your mission and your visions for change, the more prepared they will be to participate in your success. Second, the leadership must maintain and keep current their certifications, registrations, fiscal management systems, reporting systems, safety protocols, and other personnel operating manuals. These are your policies. This is what keeps your organization alive, and if your staff do not know the policies that are connected to keeping your organization open, the result is organizations fail. And lastly, the programs and activities of an agency are key to demonstrating how healthy an organization may become. Programs must collect and review their data to determine whether their services are working as initially conceived. Healthy organizations are able to recount how they are making a difference in the lives of others around them. No matter the size or location of an agency or organization, collaboration and partnership matter. NGO leadership must decide if it will work within a system or institutional policies or remain outside of them in order to make lasting changes and, most importantly, stay relevant. Knowing how to effectively partner with allies is a critical part of doing business. In the American South, where I was born and raised, had it not been for the effective use of allies in the struggle for civil rights, desegregation would never have been possible. This also applies to women and girls and how women and girls need to effectively use their allies to achieve success. I've seen it possible, and it is how we conduct change. Finally, NGOs must communicate their visions for change with clarity. Each agency develops its own reputation for consistency of impact and the actions of its leadership. Therefore, make sure you have a website that can shine and keep on going. And pay someone a good fee to keep your agency information updated. And do not be shy about asking for help, because funders pay attention to these specific messages from you. Please, speaking of funders, always remember, while a funder may trust your agency with their money or their resources, it is your clients who depend upon your agencies for their very lives. And ultimately, this is why NGOs exist, to make the world a better place for others than it was before, because when organizations fail and when they close down, as so many do, suffering continues and humanity's march forward is delayed once again. Let us remember, social change is a business. Let's treat it like one, and let's do the best we can always. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jay, for your wisdom. And what you said is social change is a business. That's the reason many not-for-profits fail, because they don't run it like a business. Thank you. And your speech was more than clear. We have a lot of things to take up. And thank you so much. And our next speaker is my dear friend from Geneva, whom I've had the honor and privilege of knowing. I call her my sister in Geneva because she is the head of the NGO CSW committee, the president in Geneva, and I'm on the executive board of the NGO CSW here. Nia Sadare is the General Secretary and CEO of the World YWCA. And this lady here leads a global movement of 25 million women. We say the best for the last. She is an African Union Goodwill Ambassador for the campaign to end child marriage. I love seeing you, but I'm disappointed you didn't wear your t-shirt, which you do. This is a woman with a mission and a message. And she has founded, she has honored her mother. We all love our moms. And thank you so much for being a founder of the Rosaria Memory Trust in honor of her late mother. And I'm sure she is so proud of you looking down from there, as we all are. And last but not least, guess what? She's a trained lawyer in human rights. The floor is yours. Light a fire.
I can only but blow, for the fire is already burning. Thank you all so much for staying the course. For me, it is those who stay the course who shows that they remain determined to the issue. We have been on our feet since before 1995, before Beijing. The first women's conference was in 1975 in Mexico, and we have been on our feet, and we will remain on our feet. When I saw when I received from my sister the invitation, and we said, First Ladies High Level Forum, I took a little note and then said, We had Beijing in 1995. It was about women in leadership. It was one of the critical areas of concern was women in leadership. Guess what? We now have women heads of states. We now have female ambassadors. And therefore, I'm asking us to change this language of first ladies. And talk about first spouses. Because we need to honor the women in leadership who have spouses and want their spouses here as part of the conversation. Secondly, I've been asked to talk about the conversation on Beijing and linking with Post-it 2015. I was a young woman. I was breastfeeding, and I went with my baby to Beijing. My girl is now for the women's conference. My girl is now about to turn 20. Each of her life, each day, I ask myself, what has that life been for her? And of the 12 critical areas of concern that we have, from poverty, economy, violence against women, health, education, media, environment, institutional mechanisms, the girl child, from all this bundle of issues, what is very clear to me is we still need to address the issues of health, the issue of sexual and reproductive health and rights, especially for young women. We still need to address the issue of violence against women. It is unacceptable that we still have the magnitude of violence against women that we've talked about. It's still unacceptable that we have the level of household poverty and women's experience of poverty that we are seeing. There's poverty you read in a book like this, which is like a statistic. There's poverty which you see when you walk in the streets. But some of us have lived in poverty. You smell the poverty. It's part of you. And we are sitting here when the General Assembly will be meeting and they started. And I'm saying to myself, how serious are we when the first goal is talking about ending poverty, but guess what? It's talking about $1.25 a day. It is the marker of extreme poverty. Who under the sun has tried to feed 7 children, send 7 children to school, give them breakfast, send them to school, give them medical health services, and give them a decent underwear with $1? We need to be serious. We need to re-question the models of development that we have today, because the models of development are perpetuating feminization of poverty. They are not getting us out of poverty, they are simply reducing poverty. But some of us are said to be remaining in poverty. So I reject the notion of reduction of poverty. I like to eliminate poverty, because nobody deserves it. The third issue which links education and economic empowerment for me, which is fundamental for women, is the notion that if you can't read in a foreign language, therefore you lack knowledge. We need to respect indigenous knowledge and skills. My mother went up to grade 3, but she was the most sophisticated entrepreneur under the sun. Wow. It didn't mean that she had no knowledge, it simply meant that she cannot read in English. But it didn't mean that she cannot think. The poor do not need capacity building, the poor need opportunity. Because if the poor have opportunity, they are able to translate their lives from the situation they are in to another situation. We need to reshape the narrative. We need to redefine that narrative. Because the current narrative is a narrative of hierarchy, of elitism, of exclusion, where us, the poor, will always remain down there. We have to reject certain language. I don't like the word field. In the UN, in development, including us as NGOs, we speak so much, I'm going to the field, this is a field report, this is a field study. We are talking about somebody going to Nigeria with over 100 million people, and you are calling it a field. Why is it that when in development, you come to developing countries, you call it a field? I've never had anybody come to London or come to the US who says, I'm going to the field. Why is there differential in conversations? Conversations which continue to undermine the depth of knowledge that resides in every part of the globe around the world. We have to redefine power, redefine relationship, redefine the notion of equality, and redefine that power, knowledge, experience resides everywhere. And we just need to share it equally. Again, we know. I'm tired, and I'm very tired. I'm tired of women. Gender equality issue being a box, a case study. I had to blog about it yesterday, and I said I'm very sad, very, very sad. Because the people, the women we are talking about, the poor, the excluded, have no voice in spaces of decision. Everybody talks about them, but where are they? They are not even there to talk for themselves. We talk about young people. We had a whole conversation for 3 hours. Where are the young people? And so we continue to pontificate without actualizing our values. And we have to challenge ourselves and say, if we are very serious about adolescent health, about young moms, they have to speak for themselves. We have to move over. Us who are always speaking on behalf of the other needs to move over. Allow people to speak for themselves. That for me is a crucial conversation. I am a goodwill ambassador for the African Union, for this amazing campaign to end child marriage. The First Lady of Belize was standing here speaking about statistics on teenage pregnancy. I have looked at the data from Tampere in Finland, to the situation in Lokichokio in Kenya, to the situation in Papua New Guinea, to the situation in Suriname and elsewhere. And I'm standing there and saying it's unacceptable that in today's world, with the billions of wealth we have in the world, that 39,000 girls are getting married today, each day. We are not talking about marriage. 39,000 girls under the age of 18. We are actually talking about 15 million of our daughters, of our girls, under the age of 18 getting married each year. So we are actually talking about the population of my country. But what we are talking about is sexual violence and rape of 39,000 girls each day. Because there's no consent. I'm a lawyer. If somebody has sex with somebody under the age, it's rape. You cannot plead consent. Therefore, we stand here, talk about the MDGs and the future that we want. But today, 39,000 girls are being raped, are being infected of an STI. She's getting pregnant. She has no access to comprehensive sexuality education. She has no job. She's out of school. She is singing in order to just manage the pain. She is emotionally traumatized. Nobody wants to accept that pregnancy. And she is married to somebody who is almost her grandfather. Yeah. And nobody is talking about the 39,000 women. So you get the names of our daughters and our girls. You can hear about Tamuzai, Zainabu, Maria, Perpetua. We hear their names. Where are the 39,000 men who are marrying our girls? Who are they? Yes. Why is there no discussion about the 39,000 men? Why is there a discussion only about the 39,000 girls? Because patriarchy protects its own. And we need to address the issue of people committing crimes, and there is protecting themselves and there is impunity. Child marriage is an issue of class. It's usually the poor girl from poor households who is married to an elite or a little bit more resourced man. The man might be poor, but he's a little bit richer than from this family. So there is a class issue inherent in child marriage. And for me, this is one issue that we can end in a single generation. It's doable, it's practical, it's achievable, and that for me is the connection between the Beijing +20 journey of poverty, violence, education, health, environment, and everything with the post-2015 agenda. Let's invest in young people. Let's invest in girls. Give them opportunities. Listen to their voices. Let's end child marriage within a single generation. It's not a simple matter of harmful practice. It's an issue of human rights. It's an issue of development. As I stand here, I believe, and in conclusion, I believe that we have to move away from this technocratic discussion. The issue of gender equality is not just about the mind, the analysis. It's a political issue. It's an issue of the heart. It's an issue of the pain and the struggles of every day in our lives. It becomes so technocratic that we forget that it's about love and joy. It's about pain, but it's also about laughter and blessings. That is what gender equality is about. It is not just about a statistic in a book. It is about you, my brothers and sisters, living a world in the fullness of our being and in the full recognition that you and me are co-created to be a wonderful stewards of this world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, iPad.
years, as you can say, can I go on the table? Can you guys? But I can promise to Dr. Ada and Dr. Vinny that I will be here today. I live in Westport, Connecticut. I came last night, 11 p.m. I haven't drunk except water and 2 pills for pain. Thank you, Deborah, for doing it. Thank you, Sam, for doing that. Please give me attention for 2 seconds. Madam Chair. among the women of the world who bridge nations and cultures, exercise plans, innovate chance, and bring humanity to this world. You mentioned before the long Greek name. Yes, Lulaloi Alapoyanis. And I'm very proud of it. Being born in a place that taught civilization, literature, the first doctor on earth, Hippocrates. And this is olive oil from Hippocrates. This is our own. And I'd like my girlfriend from China to come and get it because she asked me before what it is. Everyone who knows it, every single day drinks 2 teaspoons. No heart problem, nothing. I don't promote anything here today. Where's my friend again, please? What is she? Come again, please. By the way, all of you know what Greece goes today. What's going on there? Believe me, we're all Greeks here today. We are strong and we will survive. Trust me on that. After all, when others they used to live on caves, we built the Parthenons. And we have the best museum under the stars. The entire Greece is a beautiful museum. And I invite you next year to come with the Euro-American Women's Council for the 19th annual Global Award Goddess Artemis ceremony at the renowned Savio Megaro, the #1 place on earth also as well, and go to the sacred island of Delos, Goddess Artemis Delos, that we draw also the name Euro-American Women's Council Goddess Artemis Awards. I'll be delighted to do so. I would like to thank Beijing class 20, of course, years women. I had the pleasure to be also the first lady back then was there, Ms. Hillary Clinton, a dear friend of mine, and I still can advise her. Trust me. I will be with President Clinton in the top 50. Billionaires. I am not the one anymore, but I have this clean, this forehead clean. I will teach you something. My father, when I was 20 years old and I wanted to leave Greece to come to the United States, he told me, make sure you're leaving our country. Guess what you will do? If you lose your money, you're smart, you'll make them again. I come from relatively very good family. And if you lose your health, just pray to God, as I'm doing for the past 18 and a half years. I am a survivor, I will survive, I will not let you guys get away from me. Because Mula said so, Governor Cuomo said. And when Mula wants, Mula gets. When we finish, why? You can start again. Okay, I'm losing my title today from Ada, Dr. Ada. I have a lot of things to talk to you, but you don't let me do it. So please come next to me. I have a special announcement to make. The Euro-American Women's Council. See, what have you done, especially today, very important? You and I, we've been working hand in hand together for a long time, respecting each other. So unanimously, November 12th, you will receive in the Congress, surprise, surprise, of the United States the Goddess Artemis Award. Welcome to our family. Okay? I don't want to say too much about Mr. Johnny Lou, but nobody can stop me now. I gotta say two words. I know you were, but Lula once, Lula gets. Professor Johnny Lou was born in the Purpose Island, Jane, known as yes, the Dragon's Gate. She was traveling around the world 300 times and building 6 countries. Top museums to learn, yes, about people and their culture. Johnny is a master artist and known for Johnny's work is not based on religion, bravo, but the belief that we are all brothers and sisters. He protects for peace and the protection of the rights for all, especially women and children, and Lord God. The Oriental dragon symbolizes longevity, prosperity, kindness towards others, and equality. Many first ladies wear this belt. That I know, Johnny can attest to that, but Michelle Obama gave myself. And Nancy Reagan started first with a beautiful thank you letter. And then every other lady wears the beautiful necklaces that you get today, especially from Johnny Lou, especially for this occasion. And thanks to Wanda, Lula, what am I gonna do? I said, never mind, don't worry. We'll do it. Johnny Lou is working with the United Nations to support more opportunities to end the people of the world. No further to Johnny, we receive the beautiful award. However, I'm going to say something. Surprise, surprise. You are receiving also February 12th, the God Service Award in Washington, D.C. Next year, we'll start the level. However, I said, thank you whatever you say about me. I'm not all of you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so very, very much for having me here today. Dr. Anna, Dr. Mimi, all of you, I give you a nice. Thank you.
My beautiful friend, my younger sister, everything what I'm doing for today, because of her. She special make a trip 3 days before come to Taiwan. The reason why she support one monk make a rosary, a blue collar rosary, then donate money in Africa for few thousand people to children without the father, without mother in Africa. So see the way he do it. The true story. After I come back from USA, I asked her. I said, African people, 17 million people, especially American Africa, should be support the African yourself. Small Taiwan, then only my single girl support this. Maybe few thousand children without father, without mother, they survive. Number one. Number two. So after I working with Rapport, we make a coin for the Obama. So how to make an African American become president in USA. So that's how we make the first lady, make it how to work shining. And then one idea, later I'm tell them. I go to the Washington D.C. to see the president Obama. The one idea later in the chance in their speech, I tell them is Obama sooner or later should be General Secretary of the United Nations. Because when I in the White House, God bless American, who the education only for American East and West, but should be to entire world. God take everybody around the world when he the General Secretary of the United Nations.
Thank you so much. We just want this event to appreciate Luna and Professor Johnny Liu. And I want Ibrahim Musa and Professor Whiteford to be here with me to do this. Ibrahim Musa is Ibrahim Musa. And Whiteford, please come over here. Yeah, I've been working with them on this preparation. Ibrahim came from Nigeria this morning, and he is the Executive Director of Civil Society Advocacy Legislative Center, Nigeria, and Secretary General for West Africa NGO Civil Society in West Africa. So, Professor John, you have seen all the done, and Luna is the fire behind him all the fire. Yes. So I would like is a reverend final, and I want you to process it. 2 minutes. Yes.
But it's like it is paramount for me to come out and let everyone know that I need all your support. With your partnership, with you around, you can help me to make a difference. My target is to reach out to 1 million women and 1 million children by 2020. This can happen with your support. And I look forward to hear from you. And please, I will reach out to her, because the woman, you can never replace a woman with anything. I'm nothing like a woman. She's a mother, she's a manager, she's everything. And let's just support the women and give them the dignity they deserve. So I came with 3 others here, over there. Please stand up, let us see you. I'm working with them. Thank you so much. Clap for everything because they are making this work for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. I appreciate the opportunity and the privilege. And thank you so much. This was a very great and exciting program. I always tell people we need to package ourselves so people can buy us. We need to position ourselves so people can find us. We need to put a price tag on us, on our head, on our word, so people don't undervalue us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Adel. Widows Development Organization, WIDO, has been in existence since 1995. WIDO's work is predominantly focused in the southeastern states of Nigeria, and its overarching goal is to reduce harmful traditional practices towards widows. On June 30, 2010, WIDO made a huge stride when it was formally granted association with the United Nations by its Department of Relations, DPI. This
media is going to be useless. Too much talk everywhere.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We now call on the Women from African Studies Association. 2 minutes, 1.5 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. Can I please have your attention, please? I'm going to ask for their attention because I've been sitting here for 3 hours for the opportunity to address this August group. And I would like to get the attention of as many of the people who are here as I can. It's only polite. It's only polite when we have people who are speaking to give them an opportunity to speak. It's only polite. There's a certain amount of decorum that I think I'm going to ask for as I am speaking. Thank you. Those of you who would like to have personal lobbying should go outside the door and lobby out there. Hello, everyone, our August speakers. Okay, thank you for those of you who are listening. My name is Linda Day, Professor Linda Day. I'm a professor at Brooklyn College. And I came to you. You called me today. I came today. I've been hearing everyone else's talk, so it's now your time to listen to me. I've been given the mic. Thank you, Dr. Anna. So I came here as a representative of the African Studies Association Women's Caucus. The Women's Caucus, and indeed the African Studies Association, is made up primarily of scholars of Africa. And I came to represent a position that the Women's Caucus has taken on 2 issues that we think are of utmost importance now. I do understand that many of you also think that these issues are important, but I did want to say on behalf of the Women's Caucus and specifically the Mono River Women's Peace Network, the Mono River Women's Peace Network, the women of Sierra Leone, Liberia, and Guinea, women who suffered tremendously through the past civil wars and who are now suffering again with the Ebola virus. And I want to bring the position of the Women's Caucus that so much of what they are suffering has to do with their position in the society as a gendered and discriminated against group. Please, people in the back, please. Please. Thank you. I've heard some things today from some of the people standing here who did seem to recognize that what the women are facing is absolutely a worldwide issue and should be considered a crisis. Should be considered a crisis. And I think some people do consider it a crisis. But the question is, what are we doing about it? How are we couching this position? How are we going to frame this crisis? And I don't think that the crisis has been framed enough as an issue of the discrimination against women and their gendered position in these societies. That is the message that I'm bringing from the Women's Caucus, that no militaristic position should be taken with regard to the Ebola virus, that does not include social scientists, women leaders, and those who understand that there is a gender dimension to all of these crises. It is because of the gendered position that the Chibok girls have not been recovered, found, or in any way identified and saved. So it is on that basis that the Women's Caucus of the African Studies Association asked me to come and speak to the people that were here. There are not that many left, but those of you who are here will understand that the scholars who are engaged in the study of African issues believe that the gender dimension cannot be removed from these crises. And we believe that what women have to say about it is something that would be very valuable for the UN to understand. Thank you.
They will hold the mic. I will not want to the dropping. The last is someone who is here to recognize UNESCO Club for Global Education. Ibrahim, please come up because you are the director of UNESCO Club. Come up. Who wants to recognize us? David and Vera, these are the members of the UNESCO Club. Please come up, two of you. Come on, come on, come on. Yes, he wants to recognize UNESCO Club for Global Education. Please, David, come on. Yes.
With your energy, which is more important. And I fell in love with the name UNESCO Club for Global Education. It was literally not the first sight, because I think it speaks for all it means, and more importantly, it is a club. Because the club will allow us to speak out what we think, it allows us to interact at all levels, and this is what we need globally and connect all of us. So I think the founder who created this name is what got me fell in love the first second that I see the name, and I hope I'm able to work with you a long time. Because I myself is a partner of China UNESCO Sustainable Education. So we do have 3,000 schools with us. And we also, in China, have 6,000 of children palaces that children can learn their culture, their educational science classes and all that. So I think with contexts like today, which is not generally taken up in places like China, also a developing country, will only have that chance to have the dialogue because you make that happen. So for today, I am bringing this world peace. Education is #1 to world peace. And I think this is what that UNESCO Club of Global Education brings to us. And I thank all of you.
What happened to your hands?
I'm trying to connect 1.5 billion Chinese to this world.
Okay. I'm an American originally Hungarian, so I've been here once again in our world. You are straight, that means good evening. And you're so proud, that means good night. I wish you all a wonderful night.
All right. Thank you, everyone. It's been wonderful having you around. I thank all the organizations that collaborated for this event. I thank the Secretary Edith Badoma, Pastor Tony Lawal, who came all the way from California, Ibrahim Awal, all of Vera Mati. Vera has been with me since last week, moving up and down, and everything to make sure that this was a success. I also thank the cameraman, all the wonderful speakers. You can see because of the UN session, it was not easy getting them. Again, the first ladies who are all here, I was so much impressed. I also thank WIFO and the Dual Institute of America, the Europe American Women Council, and all of us. I thank my brother who came all the way from Guinea. Yeah, please come up here, come on. Please come up. He came all the way from Guinea and he's here with us. So I thank you all for coming. God bless you. We need to meet again next September. The cause for First Ladies is very, very important to us. We cannot leave them alone. We need to give them ideas, initiative, information. We also need to empower them, to enable them to extend their work to the grassroots. Thank you all.